Okay, so we're going to go through what is legal and illegal when it comes to the positioning of your legs whilst fighting in a rule set that is most common in most competitions. So it's IBJJF. We're going to talk about mainly reaping, which I'll explain in a second, and the positions you can fight in. As you get into more and more heel hooks and reaping, there are a few more competitions that allow this other rule set, but I'll explain them as we go through. So what a reap is at any point I'm applying pressure through from the outside of the knee inwards whilst his foot is pinned in place when obviously his hip is attached to him. So it's applying pressure in, it tends to tear the inside or the ACL. And so if I talk about, if I can do the same way, if I talk about going across here and I've got this pinned and I start applying pressure, it starts to apply pressure on your knee and this part starts to go, okay? And this doesn't necessarily have to be in this position, it can be stood up as well, okay? We're going to start off with the most basic positions first and how we're in it. So we're in a standard straight ankle lock or Achilles lock position, the one we've just been drilling as we've been warmed up. Generally, the rule set for this is, there's two main points to remember here, or that I try and remember. One is, what is the outside controlling foot doing? And the ruling is that ideally it doesn't go past the center line. The moment it does, it starts applying pressure to his knee. You see how his knee's starting to buckle in? Okay? So the rule is you keep it on the same side of the center line of the leg I'm controlling. Okay? The other side to this is when I'm looking to apply a footlock, I fall to the side of the hip I'm attacking. Okay? And that's important because if I fall to the side of the foot I'm attacking, this is obvious, but the moment it goes across my body, some people get a bit confused and start thinking they've got to fall to their left, which you don't want to do. And I'll explain why. So when we're in this position and I'm applying this straight ankle lock here, there's no pressure on your knee, is there? The moment we start turning to his right, my left, you can start to feel the pressure on your knee. And if I'm putting a lot of energy into this, his knee will go before his ankle. Okay? It's a bit controversial because there's lots of times where you're able to spin in there in that position. If I force any of this, I will get disqualified. Okay? So if my foot goes past his center line here, my outside foot goes past his center line, I get disqualified. If I force the roll to the wrong side, so the opposite hip, I get disqualified. However, if he rolls to that side, so if I say I'm here and I'm trying to roll this way and he rolls that way, I'm allowed to follow. And then I'm allowed to follow through with it. As long as I end up here or belly down, and I can still look to finish the footlock. Okay? So all we're going to do for the first bit is, I think for most of you, is anyone not here not doing a straight ankle lock? No? So what we're going to do in this position is just get into those positions and feel where the reap starts to come on, so you feel the pressure. So I want you to be in this straight ankle lock position here. Do a standard straight ankle lock as you're applying pressure. It doesn't necessarily have to come on, but you can if you want. And then start applying pressure across. You start to feel the pressure on the knee. Then start turning it the other way. And start applying pressure down with your thigh, and they'll start to feel it in the knee. From this person, from the person having it done to them, just say when it's got pressure on it, okay? Don't go to the point of where it's uncomfortable and then tap. Just let them know. Okay? Now have a go, everyone. Yeah, it starts to get a little bit more complicated now when you go to a cross position, where his foot or my foot is crossing their center line, but from an inside out position. So when we're in this position here, where we're in fact I do it on this side, we're on the standard, the moment his foot goes across my body, it starts to get a bit more confusing because you then have to remember which way you're turning. But a good way of thinking about this, and I mentioned it to yourself and your partner, is that think about which way their knee is rotating when you're applying or when you're turning your body. I want it so that the thigh and the knee externally rotates, then it's not applying pressure inwards. Whereas if his knee starts or his thigh starts rotating internally, that starts turning it, starts applying pressure, that's when it starts attacking the ligaments. Again, at the end of the day, I'm trying to footlock him, I'm not trying to destroy his knee. So again, for IBJJF rules, to make this legal in this position, I must fall towards the hip side of the leg I'm controlling. Okay, so in this case I'm falling to my right, his left, because it's his left leg I'm attacking. And you see how my thigh is turning his knee out? That means there should be no pressure on his hip when I come to put the ankle lock on now, okay? Whereas if I start turning the other way, and start applying pressure down, especially if I take my leg out, his knee is dropping below his foot at the minute. I don't know if you can see that. His knee is dropping to the mat whilst my ankle is keeping it up. And so it starts to apply pressure. But again, the same rules applied. If I'm looking to get this and I'm turning the correct way, but he rolls the other way, I can follow it. All the way through, until we get to this position, and I'm in the right position to put on the foot lock. Okay? What I also want you to now look at is going into what's called a 411, saddle, holly holm. There's lots of different names for it, and I want you to feel the pressure of this point. Okay? So instead of going from the inside out like we did with his leg, now I'm going to go from the outside in. Okay, so I've got his foot going through and over. My outside leg is going to go over and under. Okay, and we're in this controlling position. At the minute, it's not too bad because his foot can freely rotate this way. Okay, and that's turning his leg out. But the moment I block this, so it's now turning his knee in, and that starts to apply pressure. This is where a lot of heel hooks come about in, that's become very popular. But this is illegal, this position, okay? I'm going to talk about some loopholes to this position to give you a bit of insight, but this is illegal, okay? So with your partner, go to straight ankle lock, switch it across your body. You can either have your foot on the inside here, or your foot through and over. Either way, his knee is turning outwards, so I can still apply a foot lock in this position, okay? Same rules as the one before. This one's not as complicated as the other one. Here, the outside leg is going over and under their thigh, and he's free to move this foot, then it's not bad. But the moment I clasp it to me, I'll get an overhook. See, it starts to turn his knee in. So now it starts to apply a reap, and especially if I start catching the heel in this position, now it really starts to apply pressure in his knee. Okay? Have a go, bro. Okay, so it all applies for the single leg X position. Okay, so when I shoot up into this position here, it's the same as if I'm going for the foot lock, they're just standing. So when I'm in this position, and this is even more, you can notice this more, if I push my foot across, so it starts to turn the knee line in, if I don't control his foot, it's not so, it is bad because it's still got weight on it. So in order for him to take this weight off, he's got to drop his knee into me. And the moment that foot starts floating, the pressure comes off. Okay, so there's no pressure on your knee anymore, is it? But the moment you try and put weight through that knee, you can feel it, can't you? Okay, so again, it's the same rule set in that I'm going to make sure this foot stays on the hip and then clamp to it and I'm applying pressure here, okay? And you can do the very simple, just taking them over, attacking, and you automatically fall to the correct side. His knee is pointing the way that I'm looking to attack, or the outside rotation. So I've got that foot lock, okay? So you can have a go at that, but that's just, it's just the same as them being sat down, they just stood up and it's the same rule set. Go down to saddle for me. Okay, so a few people have asked me, well, what's the point in going to this position if it's very much illegal? It's only illegal if I control the near side leg. The one I'm controlling with my legs, if I control this with my hand, it can no longer now alleviate this. So if I now apply pressure, it's going into his knee, he can't alleviate it because he can't turn his leg, or can't turn his foot. The moment I let go of that, if I start trying to apply pressure in, it can turn his heel, and so the pressure comes off, doesn't it? Yeah. But what I can do in this position is attack the other leg. Okay, so I've got nothing to do with this. At the minute, I'm just holding him here with my legs. He can't get this free because in order to get this free, he needs this leg, but I'm not applying any pressure to that, but I can freely now start attacking this one. It's not an amazing position to finish a foot lock, but again, I need to fall to this side and apply pressure. But if I fall to this side, I'm indirectly controlling this leg now. So when I start applying pressure, so I have to finish up here. But you have different variations of submissions here. See, Flint's in that position. Okay, and it's just a straight ankle lock. I've just reversed the forearm that's on there. And you've got the straight ankle. The other position, or the other grip to this, that a lot of people get confused about is a leg lace here. a lot of people are trying to argue that this is a straight ankle lock because it's applying pressure from his shin into his Achilles, but it's not, because if they can tolerate the pain, because it's not damaging, it's just like someone trying to seesaw the bone of their shin in the Achilles, it will go to a point where it starts to apply pressure to the knee. Is that getting your ankle more than your... Has anyone got a high pain tolerance on their ankles? You wanna give it a go? Come on. When I get into this position, so I'm not attacking your this.
So?
Okay, alright, so I can apply pressure and then eventually it starts to go on the knee.
Yeah, a little bit.
You start to apply the pressure on the knee, and so it becomes a knee reap. And it's mainly, it's very similar to a heel hook. If I was to get that free, and then I start applying the pressure here, it's basically rotating his knee, and the knee will go, because his pain tolerance is much higher on the shin on the back of the Achilles, okay? So, what I want you to do with your partner, stand up for me, please. Get into that single leg position, turn around this way. There we go, thank you. Is shoot up. So if I start applying pressure across, it starts to turn the knee in, and that's not legal, okay? In a competition, what will happen is a ref will stop it, put your foot back in the correct position, will give you a warning. If that happens again, it'll be illegal. However, let's turn this round the other way. If I can borrow your dress. Go down for me, sorry. Should have said it, shouldn't I? If he puts me in the single leg X position, okay, if I drive this across, I will get disqualified for this, okay? Because I'm putting myself in danger, okay? It used to be about 4 years ago, because everyone was so caught up in people getting disqualified, they'd put it across and be like, ref! And then, whereas now if I do that, I'll get a warning and then I'll get disqualified, okay? So, play on those two positions for me. I'll come round and help you, and then what we'll do is we'll just recap everything so we all, at least on some page, there's a lot to kind of absorb there, but have a go, okay?